Stand clear of the closing doors, please.
Are saying, oh, I guess I was on mute that whole time. Start over. Welcome in, guys, to the stream as your first place New York Mets continue their 7-game homestand at Citi Field as they welcome in the Philadelphia Phillies, who are chasing them in the National League East standings. A lot of people saying that this is an early season litmus test for superiority in the division. Obviously, the number 1, number 2 teams in the standings right now. Probably too early to get too concerned or too hyped about any of the results here over these next 3. But anytime you're taking on one of your key rivals like the Phillies, who, of course, we know the Mets bounced out of the National League Division Series last year, it's always fun. And especially coming off a thrilling weekend at Citi Field where we had near sellout crowds for all 4 games of the sweep of the Cardinals, and it was just a fantastic time. So hoping the good times will continue against Philadelphia here, and the Mets can add on to their lead here in the early going over the Phillies. Before I go any further, I am Tony Metro. If you guys are new to the channel or watching on Twitter, be sure to check out my YouTube channel where I post daily Mets content. You can also find me on Twitter or on TikTok, Instagram, where I post all little snippets of my daily stuff. So let's get into it. Before we go deep dive into this matchup for the Mets and Phillies today, where we will have Tyler McGill taking on Aaron Nola, let's get a quick health update from Carlos Mendoza. Obviously, we know Mark Vientos left Saturday's game with a groin injury. He did not play on Sunday, and he is not in the lineup again here today against the Phillies. So earlier this afternoon, Mendy was asked about the status of Vientos and what they're looking for and whether he'll be available anytime soon. Go ahead, give this a listen.
Where are things at with Vientos right now?
Yeah, saw him take ground balls earlier. He was doing some sprints. He's scheduled to take BP, so hopefully there's some availability there for him in the game.
So he could be off the bench tonight?
Yeah, if he comes through, like I said, batting practice and all that, he could be an option off the bench today.
So interesting, kind of seems maybe more cautionary than anything for him to miss this game this afternoon if he's available off the bench, for him to be taking ground balls. He was taking ground balls yesterday as well. Obviously, we didn't see him in a pinch hitting situation, so I was glad that they just gave him all of Sunday off. But I was a little concerned when the lineups did come out earlier this afternoon to not see Vientos in the lineup. That sounds pretty good to me from what Mendoza just had to say about him, that he might be available off the bench today. Hopefully he did see enough at him in pregame warmups today that he can swing the bat. And honestly, just fingers crossed at this point, because Vientos was finally starting to look like he was getting hot. It started on that 6-game road trip out in West Sacramento and then in Minnesota. And then obviously it carried over the first 2 games of the series where he hit home runs in back-to-back games on Thursday and Friday. So fingers crossed that Vientos is on the mend and can be back in the starting lineup as soon as tomorrow. And speaking of getting some of their healthy starters back, he also provided an update on Jeff McNeil and Francisco Alvarez. So we knew Francisco Alvarez was probably closer to returning than Jeff McNeil. The original plan was for McNeil to go up to AAA, while Alvarez was more likely than not going to just rejoin the big league roster after he completed his minor league assignment with AA Binghamton. It sounds like now that has changed. Go ahead, give this one a listen now. Or not.
Where are things at with Vientos right now?
How did it go with McNeil and Alvarez's check-ins, and what's next for them officially?
Yeah, good. Feeling good. I think at this point it's just more building up volume for them, getting used to playing full games, back-to-backs and things like that. So right now the plan is for them to go to AAA. Tomorrow they're scheduled to play a full game, 9 innings tomorrow, and then I think they have doubleheader on Wednesdays. They play one of them. It's a 7-inning game, and then we have a decision after that. So
Yeah, decision for sure. So again, this was kind of weird to me because originally I think they thought that Alvarez would immediately rejoin the team after only spending time with Binghamton. McNeil was always supposed to go up to AAA, so that stays to the same plan. But yeah, interesting, especially because Alvarez caught full 9-inning games in back-to-back days on Friday and on Saturday. And there was even some thought, hey, he may have rejoined the Mets lineup on Sunday, maybe in a DH role, and instead he's going to continue to get at-bats in AAA. But it's all going to be very intriguing to see how it works out, especially now with the whole Mark Vientos thing. I don't think that's a serious injury, but because Luis Angel Acuna and Brett Beatty essentially fighting for a position player spot on the bench here. So when McNeil returns, you would think conceivably one of those guys would go down. We know obviously when Alvarez is ready to come back, Hayden Singer will go down. But you also have to throw another wrinkle in there with Jose Siri's injury. So currently Jose Azocar has been brought up and is the presumable fifth outfielder off the bench. I guess with McNeil getting reps in center field, Luis Angel Acuna having some experience in the minor leagues in center field, that they could roll with that option and still keep Brett Beatty and Acuna up on the big league roster. It's pretty tough to say, though, hey, Luis Angel Acuna has played center field in the minors. Let's just throw him out there. I mean, it doesn't work that way. He's never played it in the big leagues, so that's kind of potentially playing with some fire to just kind of throw him out there. Obviously, Brandon Nimmo in a pinch can play center field, but you don't want to do it more than a few innings here or there. He doesn't have that same step as he did earlier in his career. So Tyrone Taylor, of course, will get the majority of reps out there, but we will see how this works out and just what that timetable is for the return of Jeff McNeil and for Francisco Alvarez. So let's get into today's matchup. Tyler McGill going up against Aaron Nola in the opener of this game. And let's start out with the Mets lineup here this afternoon. Pretty similar to what we've seen against right-handers so far here in 2025. The usual at the top of the order: Lindor, Soto, Alonso, Nimmo hitting cleanup, Winker hitting fifth, Luis Torrens after that, then Luis Angel Acuna and Brett Beatty and Tyrone Taylor rounding out the bottom three of the order. So Aaron Nola, it has been a rough start for him this year. That's just putting it nicely, honestly. He's entering his 10th season and so far is off to an 0-4 start, a 6.65 ERA over 22 innings so far. His last time got roughed up by San Francisco, gave up 7 earned runs in 5 1/3 innings pitched. He also gave up 5 earned runs in his first start of the year versus Washington. And this is a guy with a wealth of experience pitching against the Mets. He has nearly a full season of experience just pitching against the Mets, which makes sense. I mean, he debuted in 2015, 10 years almost of pitching in the National League East, you would figure, but 28 career starts, 164 innings, and he has a 3.46 ERA, 3.28 ERA at Citi Field. But of course, we know last October that was not the case. The Mets roughing him up in Game 3 of the NLDS for 4 runs in 5 innings, where Pete Alonso and Jesse Winker both took him deep. So let's take a look at their career numbers against Nola. Francisco Lindor just 7 for 33 with 1 RBI. Juan Soto is 9 for 35, 3 home runs, 6 RBIs, also has drawn 15 walks against Nola. Pete Alonso absolutely owns Aaron Nola. He is his daddy. 16 for 50, that's a 320 average, 5 homers, and 11 career RBIs against the Phillies right-hander. Great time for Pete to continue to stay hot against this guy. Brandon Nimmo hitting cleanup, like I said. He is 13 for 52. That's a 250 average. Jesse Winker had that home run in October last year in the NLDS, but overall not great numbers. He has 1 regular season career homer against Aaron Nola, but just a 167 average in 24 at-bats. Luis Torrens is 2 for 3. Luis Angel Acuna has never faced him. Brett Beatty is hitless in 7 at-bats. And then Tyrone Taylor is 4 for 10. So good opportunity for the Mets to take advantage of Nola. They have some pretty good numbers against him, despite what he's done over his career at Citi Field and against the Mets. Key things I'm watching for: does the top of the lineup stay hot? I mean, Francisco Lindor, Juan Soto, Pete Alonso all had their moments over that 4-game series this weekend against the Cardinals. Obviously, Lindor with the walk-off blast on Friday, the leadoff homer on Saturday, or Sunday rather, and a couple other nice base hits sprinkled in there. 3-hit game yesterday. Juan Soto, a couple of really key and clutch RBI knocks, and then the 2-run double in the 8th inning yesterday. Looks like he's starting to come around and get comfortable. And then, of course, Pete Alonso, the homer, the double on Saturday, and a few more base hits sprinkled throughout the 4-game series as well. So I'll be keeping an eye on that if these guys are finally all hitting their stride at the same time. And then going back to the whole injury debate. Today we got Beatty and Acuna in the lineup once again together. It's basically going to be an audition for these two guys until we see what happens with Jeff McNeil and a little bit with Mark Vientos, depending if he would require an injured stint. I don't think that will be the case, but those two guys are fighting for one of the last roster spots as far as position players. So that is what I will be keeping an eye on. What do you guys think? What are you looking for in this opener here? Jonathan in the chat, what's up, my man? How you doing? Appreciate you always checking in. Winker and Nimmo will hit a home run tonight. I like that. Do you have a FanDuel account? Because if you do, I'll Venmo you $10 and you could put a little schedule on there for me. I'd appreciate that. No Vientos. No, I wouldn't say I'm getting worried about Vientos being out, because what Mendoza said today, telling me basically he's available off the bench more than likely. It was really weird because they said it was a groin injury, and then Vientos said after the game that he felt he wasn't hydrated enough. So I was thinking, okay, he's just dehydrated, like pulled a muscle. But for him to miss yesterday and now not be starting today, definitely a little more concerning than I originally thought, but still not worried enough to the point that I think he would require an injured list stint. So we will see how that all goes. Meanwhile, let's take a look at the Phillies lineup today, as the Phillies come into this one at 13-9, trailing the Mets by 2 games in the NL East, and they'll be taking on Tylor Megill. First, we'll start with Megill, actually, who's been great so far this year. This will be his 5th start of the season. Last time out was probably his worst start of the year, and even that wasn't so bad. 5 innings pitched, 4 runs, but only 2 of them earned. 8 hits against Minnesota. That was the 2-error game again for Francisco Lindor that the Mets dropped. But overall for the year, he has been great. Megill, 19 1/3 innings, pitched a 1.4 ERA and has struck out 20 batters as compared to just 7 free passes. And so 6 career starts against the Phillies. And if you look at the numbers, Megill probably has his best career numbers against the Phillies, or at least against teams that he has any substantial track record against. For his career, 2.51 ERA in 6 career starts versus Philadelphia over 32 innings. His last start against the Phillies came in September of last year, where he went just 4 innings, but allowed just 1 earned run, struck out 6, and walked 2 in a Mets 2-1 victory. So here's the Phillies lineup for this evening. Bryson Stott, 0 for 9 in his career against Tylor Megill. Trey Turner is 2 for 6. Bryce Harper, off to a really hot start here this year. OPS above 900, 5 homers, but Tylor Megill's kept him in check for the most part throughout his career. A 167 average in 12 at-bats. Kyle Schwarber also raging hot. 7 homers, OPS over 1,000 so far here in 2025. He has just a 111 average in 9 at-bats against Tylor Megill. Nick Castellanos, 3 for 9. I would put the house on him to hit a home run tonight after Pope Francis just passed away. I'm just saying. You didn't hear from me, but that's what I would do if I had a FanDuel account. Mitch Kepler is hitless in 3 at-bats against Megill. JT Realmuto, probably the best numbers against Megill in this lineup, a 286 average, a home run in 14 at-bats, but man, how the mighty have fallen. You saw it last year, maybe even going back to 2023. JT Realmuto is not that same guy that he used to be at the beginning of his Phillies career and back when he was with the Marlins. Mookie totally agrees with that. And then Alec Baum, off to a horrendous start here this year. Alec Baum off to a horrendous start this year. Just a 472 OPS, 193 average so far this year. He is 3 for 9 against Megill in his career. And Johan Rojas rounding things out, hitless in 4 at-bats against Megill. So opportunity for the Mets here to take the opener of this series. I like the pitching matchup. I personally have never thought that Aaron Nola was all that impressive. Yeah, he's an innings eater. I know he's got pretty decent career numbers against the Mets, but I've never been struck with fear as an opposing fan by Aaron Nola when he's on the hill going up against the Mets. And meanwhile, Tyler McGill tries to build on his strong start to the season in his 5th appearance of the year. What do you guys think? How you feeling about this series? Are you worried? Are you feeling confident coming off that 4-game sweep? Let me know in the comment section below. Like I always say, be sure to subscribe to the channel so you know when I am posting my latest content. Also, leave this video a like. It really goes a far way in keeping the channel growing. And again, tonight, after this game, hopefully another W when the Mets extend their lead to 3 in the National League East. I will be going live and hopefully having a bunch of you guys in the chat, and we can do some Q&A and some chat about another Mets W. That's it for now. I'm Tony Metro. Until later, stay true to the orange and blue.